Why am I talking with you about vasectomy?
Well, because I've had one.
So the doctor has to go into the scrotum and cut the tube and tie it up.
Right. The procedure itself was 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah.
Did you have to wait to have sex again?
I had to wait 14 days. 4 years after my vasectomy, I did get it reversed.
What? You got it reversed? My name is Karishma. I'm a sexuality educator, and this is a series where we unlearn and relearn all those common myths, misconceptions, and questions which really should have been part of the talk. Hopefully we got it. Welcome to Talk You Never Got. Hi everyone, welcome back to Talk You Never Got. Today we're going to talk about a topic that people really don't talk about, which is vasectomies. And Marlon's gonna come at us with a first-person experience. I can't wait to dive in. So before we start, Marlon,
Yes.
if sex were a food, what would it be and why?
It would be like a frozen brownie that you got at a really bad chain restaurant.
Okay.
Like where the waiter just comes and like pops it on your table. And you're like, oh, my brain told me I wanted this, but it's really underwhelming. But it's sweet and the portion size is perfect.
Okay, that's really specific. I love it. I've not heard anyone interpret that question as sex with me, and so that's a new one.
Well, you've been interviewing nerds.
Okay, cool.
So
And so
like my wife.
So tell us, if you're not a nerd, what are you? What do you do, Marlon?
I'm a professional photographer, but this year I am here at Harvard because my wife is doing her master's in public health with you, and I'm kind of like the butler now. I do laundry and
love
clean
it.
up and
I love it.
yeah, and provide other services, but I'm not sure what the rating is on this podcast. So
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Other services, we'll go with that. All right, and what's a moment in your life that you were like, damn, I wish that was something that was in the talk you never got?
I actually never got the talk. I was left to my own devices to figure a lot of these things out. But even with all this sexual education and things that I received as a child, one thing that the world doesn't really prepare you for is all the things that have to happen before sex. So it's in sexual education, it's like, well, here's how you put a condom on. But they don't really talk about like, oh, how to make your partner feel safe, so she might want to let you put on a condom to have sex with her. So like a lot of that, the social part of it, like is never included like in the talks. Like how to actually, attract a partner or things like that.
Yeah, that's really important. And I think that is also like one of the questions I get a lot as an educator, which is a lot like, but how do you know if someone's into it? Or like, how do you actually approach someone and ask them? Because I think there's also like people want to do that with care.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's human, right? Not everyone wants, a romantic partner or sexual partner, but many of us do because there's a lot of people on Earth and we know how they got here. So now with the internet and dating apps and things like that, a lot of the social aspects are kind of, evolving, changing at such a fast rate. It's tough to keep up with for some people. But at least I'm old, so I'm past that.
Okay, let's actually jump into the topic we're here for today.
Yes.
Which is vasectomies. Why am I talking with you about vasectomies?
Well, you're talking to me about vasectomy because I've had one.
Yeah, and I think like you're maybe the first person I've met who's had one, and so I'm gonna learn so much from this conversation.
Sure.
I feel like I know the theory of it, but let's like get everyone up to speed. What is a vasectomy?
So a vasectomy is quite simply a doctor, makes a small incision around the testicles and ties up the vas deferens, which is the tube that brings sperm from the testicle up to through the penis. And basically once that's tied, there's no longer sperm present in the seminal fluid, therefore preventing pregnancies.
So the doctor has to go into the scrotum and cut the tube and tie it up.
Right.
Okay.
In my vasectomy, it was it's kind of like right under the shaft of the penis, and it's like a super small scar that unless you were like really looking for it, it's quite unnoticeable.
So, Marlon, walk us through like the day of the vasectomy. What happened? What was the actual procedure like?
I drove in for my appointment. I was feeling a little anxious, obviously, because it's a medical procedure. And it was so quick. The most awkward part is when you go in and they have to prepare you for surgery. So it's like a nurse soaping you up and shaving you down there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
okay. You couldn't do that before if you wanted?
I trimmed it so it would be presentable, you know, because I'm a gentleman. But for like surgical procedures, like it needs to be like fresh. So they do all that, and it has to be like antiseptic, like so they make sure of it. So
gotcha. So it's probably better for them to do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a little awkward, I think, for both parties, but yeah. So it was done, and then the actual procedure first started with local anesthetic, which really felt like just 2 quick flicks, and then we waited a minute or two, and then it was absolutely like no feeling.
Yeah.
And then I felt nothing after that, and the doctor did what he had to and just told me, okay, like it's all done. And you know, I said, so like, do I call you after this or do we just go our own separate ways? And he laughed. And
buy me a drink first.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like,
yeah. Like if you want to see me again for any other procedures, and he didn't. So
gotcha.
yeah. So
cool.
So I drove myself home. So they do recommend having someone there if you know, but I drove myself home and it was absolutely fine. There was no issues, and just a bandage that you just want to clean and replace, but there was no bleeding, nothing. Like it was pretty simple, pretty easy.
Cool. So wait, how long did the whole thing take?
I think I was at the doctor's office for a total of 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yeah, but I think the procedure itself was 15 minutes. 15
minutes?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's really short.
Yeah.
That's, I think, shorter than like a pap smear.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. You know, like quicker than going out for dinner or.
Yeah.
Like that,
Wow. Okay. Cool. And so once you had it, you had to go home with this bandage.
Yeah.
Did you have to wait to have sex again?
So the doctor told me that I had to wait 14 days for any sexual activity, including masturbation, just no ejaculating for 14 days, which was the hardest part of the whole procedure.
Oh my God.
Because
I'm sure you'd survive.
I don't know if it's just a libido thing, but like things got uncomfortable after 2 days. Like things were, it was tough.
No shame.
Yeah, no shame.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Well, I mean, that's one of my biggest problems is that I don't think I have enough shame. but yeah, so after 2 days, things were bad. And then I tried, I definitely gave it my best effort. But after 4 days, I just had to.
You had to.
To clear the.
But it was fine.
And yeah, it was fine. I was very tense when it happened.
But please follow your doctor's advice.
Yeah, I was very scared.
Okay.
And I was expecting like, you know, when you like have a malfunctioning car and you turn on the engine, you hear that like and like smoke comes out.
Okay.
I don't know. I was expecting like.
Oh no. Like, okay, cool.
I had bad thoughts, but it was okay.
So, what are some like risks or side effects of this process?
There could be some swelling. Like any medical procedure, it's not 100% guaranteed to work, but I think those instances are quite rare because they're physically tying up the vas deferens, the tubes. So that really goes wrong. You can get infected because, you know, it's a wound on your body. Other than that, I think, you know.
Pretty safe.
Yeah, pretty safe. And the doctor was very confident that everything would go well. I'm sure there's other complications that I might be forgetting, but I did not experience them.
Yeah. So. And I would say like next question is like physically, do you feel like it changed how sex was for you?
So in terms of physical sensation, nothing changed. And in terms of like semen production, everything more or less functioned the same, looked the same, felt the same.
Wait, but they cut the tubes out. How is it the same?
Right. So there's no sperm entering in the seminal fluid in the semen, but that they're not visible to the human eye. So without them, you can't really tell that they're not there. So everything is still the same. It still looks the same, but it's not the same. You don't have live sperm in the semen. In terms of what changed sexually was a lot of the psychological factors.
Just before we get to that, I think like a lot of people, what they don't realize is like that semen, the white stuff that comes out, is not coming directly from the testicles only, right?
Yes,
like the testicles supply the sperm cells, but then you have the Cowper's glands and the seminal vesicles and the prostate.
Exactly,
They're just like
the
throwing
prostate,
in.
it's like a witch's brew, like a cauldron.
A
cauldron of cum.
Oh my gosh. Okay, cool. Yeah. So cauldron of cum has like all these different ingredients coming in, and all of that still continues to be in your semen.
You should trademark that and make it a t-shirt.
I will leave that trademark for you. So like it looks and feels exactly the same.
Yes.
Can someone tell the difference?
None of my partners could obviously tell the difference. I don't think they looked too seriously, but there's absolutely no way without a microscope or a semen analysis test that you could tell that there's no live sperm cells in the semen.
Okay, cool. And then like, I guess because there's sperm that's like no longer coming into your other parts of your body, I guess. Do you feel like it affected you in any way in terms of sex drive or hormones or anything like that?
Absolutely not. Because it's a physical blockage where they're just tying up the tubes, that everything biological is still working. The process is still going on.
Right.
It's just that the sperm cells are not physically leaving the testicles, so they just kind of are reabsorbed into the body. They dissipate. And everything else is working as nature intended, yes.
Cool. And then I guess like that brings me to the question of psychologically, how did things change?
Well, for my partners, not having to bear the mental load of birth control was quite freeing for them. Not having, to worry about birth control or pregnancy risks, I think allowed them to also be a bit more enthusiastic about things. And I think there's people who want to experience the sensation of unprotected sex, but without the consequences, such as pregnancy. So you were able to get into that primal, that breeding kink, as they say.
Wait, hold up. What's a breeding kink?
A breeding kink is when you want to experience sex that could possibly lead to procreation or, in this case, it's a simulation of that because it's impossible to get pregnant if there's no sperm cells.
In this case.
Yes.
I think like people, when they normally have a breeding kink, are fantasizing about getting pregnant but don't actually.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And I think there's people who have that kink and they like the idea of risky behavior.
Gotcha.
But in this case, it's kind of like a breeding role play, as you can put it, where they can experience having unprotected sex and enjoy that and the sensation and all that without the risk of pregnancy.
Yeah. Then you're not using barriers like condoms and stuff. Are there other risks involved?
So vasectomy can stop pregnancies. It's birth control. It does not prevent STIs, infections, and other things. So it's really important to get tested when you are with a new partner, and then make the decision together to have unprotected sex.
So if someone did get a vasectomy, but they were with someone new or had not been tested, you would still recommend using condoms or other types of barrier methods?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have to worry about a condom possibly failing and a pregnancy ensuing, but I also want to avoid chlamydia and syphilis and all those other
and we do talk more about STIs and STI prevention and HIV prevention in our other episodes, so if you haven't seen them already, please check them out. You will find them in our channel. Cool. So let's say that someone gets a vasectomy and they're not sure if they're done having kids or they want to change their mind about it. Do people freeze their sperm? I remember in our other episode we talked about it a little bit, but tell us about sperm freezing. Did you do it?
So I chose not to.
Okay.
I didn't think I wanted any more children badly enough to pay for the storage and all that. There's also the option of even if you have a vasectomy, they can do a sperm extraction. So they put a needle into the testicle, and it can extract sperm, which can then be used to inseminate an ovum. And I think it's like you have to go through IVF and other, like, I haven't done that procedure, so I don't know all the details, but I know that it's still possible. If you do later want children, you can, you know, either freeze sperm or go through the extraction, or you can have a vasectomy reversal.
Yeah, I have heard that in some cases vasectomies are reversible.
Yes, well, you should go into the procedure believing that it's not reversible, because a reversal is not guaranteed to be successful. And it's also dependent on how long after you've had the vasectomy, like how long you've waited since the vasectomy to get it reversed. And it's like diminishing returns. So 4 years after my vasectomy, I did get it reversed.
Wait, what? You got it reversed? Just kidding. I knew that. But you got a vasectomy, then you got it. Okay, cool.
So I got a vasectomy. I'm happy that I did it because I wanted it at the time. And then I got it reversed. I was not expecting to meet my soulmate and love of my life. A woman I had a crush on when I was a teenager.
We have another episode with said woman. Please check it out. We discussed egg freezing with Max. So if you haven't seen it already, don't miss that episode. Yeah.
So I met my wonderful wife. Family planning was very important, and she, you know, wanted to have children. And being a father is one of the greatest joys of my life. And I didn't think I would find a partner with whom I'd want to have a family, but in, you know, with my wife, like I can't imagine, you know, anyone else like I'd want to have a family with. So we made the decision, decided I would get the vasectomy reversal, and we would try the old-fashioned way.
All right. So tell me about
sex.
Oh, okay. Cool. So you got it reversed. Was it just as easy? You could just go in and get it reversed quickly?
It was not as easy. It was not as easy, and it was not as cheap either. I'm not sure if you mentioned it already, but the vasectomy in Canada cost $400.
Okay. Which is pretty cheap for Canada.
Yeah, for a one-time, you know, solution for birth control.
Forever.
Yeah, not a prohibitive cost. I'm not sure how much it costs in other parts of the world, but the vasectomy reversal is an elective surgery with, like, in an operating room at the hospital with a surgeon, with an anesthesiologist, with nurses. It was and 10 times as
full anesthesia.
Yeah, full anesthesia. They put me to sleep. Yeah, and woke up and it was, you know, whereas the vasectomy took 15 minutes, this was a 4-hour surgery where
4 hours, wow.
Yeah, they cut on either side of the knot in each vas deferens and stitched them back together. Yeah,
the human body is incredible.
It honestly, it's quite crazy how they're able to do that with such precision. Yeah, and whereas like the vasectomy is one incision at the base of the penis and the scrotum where they meet, and it's this was like 2 incisions on either side of the testicle. There was some swelling, but it wasn't so painful. Like the bandage was a bit more hardcore and had to be to redress it every few hours, and so like that stuff's not fun, but it wasn't the worst. So there's a bit more discomfort with the reversal. There was also, once again, he said you know, no sexual activity and no ejaculation for 14 days. Once again, I couldn't wait that long, but I did wait longer because I was way more scared because
it was a much bigger surgery.
Yeah, it's a surgery, and because there's actual stitches like in the vas deferens, like they don't want them being ripped apart if you have forceful ejaculations. I'm not gonna brag or anything.
Oh my god.
But I didn't want to explode like Bugs Bunny, you know, when, or like, you know, when he like blocks like the hunter's like shotgun with his finger, and like the gun like blows back, and like that, but like in my balls. Okay. That's what I didn't want.
I'm glad that didn't happen. Because
well, you don't know if it did.
I would rather not. Okay, so you reversed it and then that was a procedure. But with both of them, like both the vasectomy and the reversal, did you have to like stay at home a few days? Did you have to like, could you go back to work the next day?
With the vasectomy, I drove myself home, as I mentioned, and I was able to work.
Okay.
It was not a problem. They say take it easy because there's still a scar. So there's still, you don't want to, like, you're not allowed to do sports for a few weeks or like heavy lifting.
Or horseback riding.
Yeah, you don't want to ride a bareback horseback ride, with no saddle.
Yeah.
Probably don't want to bike home. You don't want to bike home right away. And like I would ice and things like that. But I was able to sit at my office chair, and I'm a photographer, so I was able to edit photos. That was fine. I was able to go to a photo shoot and with my camera and walk around. So that was okay.
Nice.
With the reversal, like I had to take it easy for a few days. It's still anesthesia, so like you come out of that, you're not like 100% right away. So that I took a few days to kind of just relax and get back to day life.
Yeah.
But actually, we moved to Boston the week after.
Oh,
the reversal.
You did a whole move after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So
Interesting.
So, but I was okay to lift, like our stuff wasn't too heavy, so I don't want you to think that I just made my
no.
I was like, sorry, I can't help with the move, I just had surgery.
no, nothing like that. So now that brings me to another question. It is quite uncommon, I think, like around the world, but especially in India, in our cultural context, for people to get vasectomies. And I do think like there's a lot of stigma around it, even here, and I'm sure even in Canada, like it's probably way more common for someone to go on birth control or get an IUD or do one, like it's usually the burden of the person who has the uterus to prevent pregnancies in relationships, right? So why do you think, as a man, why do you think there's so much stigma around vasectomies, and especially in comparison to everything that we go through?
I think, unfortunately, everywhere in the world, a lot of the mental load of birth control is placed on women in relationships. And, there's the trope where, with period products, like in bathrooms, and how it's a debate. But if it were men having periods, like there'd be a dispenser in every room of the house, and like, of course it would be free. Of course it would be free, it would be like the biggest, if men had to experience like, or people with penises were the ones to have to experience pregnancy, we would make sure that there'd be a whole industry involved in, around pain reduction, and parental leave would be like 4 years after the baby. to process, things like that. So in terms of birth control, it's the stigma is, you're gonna do that, like birth control, like isn't that a woman's like responsibility? And I already had kids. I wasn't worried about continuing my genetic line, which I don't know if you know your great-great-grandparents. I knew one of my great-grandparents. Like I don't need to have, like a lot of little mini-me's running around. I think it's better for the world that there aren't. And I don't really subscribe to like that kind of what I think. Anyways, and also like the stigma of, someone close to me actually said like, oh, well, don't you feel like less of a man without the poison and the snake? Which... Wait,
say that again?
he said, don't you feel like you're less of a man without like the venom in the fangs? Like a snake, like like a snake without the poison.
Oh.
And for me, that doesn't include like the ability to, sire children. Doesn't affect me.
That makes sense. And actually it reminds me of a book I have on the shelf which is called Ejaculate Responsibly, which shifts that onus of like who gets whom pregnant. Like one of those things is preventable.
Oh, I thought like
more.
Okay, the book's about like pregnancy. I thought it was like how to get stains like out of your curtains.
No.
Because sometimes you like across the room.
No. Different type of responsible. Yeah. Okay, so like when you went through this, how did people in your life, your partner, your friends, family, how did people react? Did you talk to them about it, or was it secret?
I mean, with the vasectomy, I was quite open with my friends. Like, hey, I'm getting snipped. And most people were quite supportive. I think it's quite common. No, I shouldn't say it's common because it's not the majority of people who do it. But I think there's enough people in North America who say, you know, well, my partner doesn't want the burden of, you know, birth control and, you know, done our family planning, and whether they have no children or feel like they've had enough children and don't want to continue, you kind of just, you know, have a permanent, you know, solution. You don't have to worry about, you know, those matters anymore.
So you had a number of friends who'd done it too?
Yes. I know a few men who have done it for, you know, the exact same motivation as me. And also, you know, we're happy with the results. And, you know, and I think it's also important to, like, when I'm open about these things, like talking about vasectomies and vasectomy reversal, to show that whether you haven't heard about it, that it is, like, it is an available option. It is out there. It didn't prevent me from finding partners. If anything, it was an asset. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that, and I think, you know, also finding partners, like, it shows that, like, hey, I take my, you know, sexual health, like, you know, responsibly.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure it like eases the burden a lot for people who are thinking about it. I'm sure this couldn't have been an easy conversation. I don't know like what the timelines were for you, but it sounds like you were ending a relationship when you got the vasectomy.
Yeah, so I was in the midst of a divorce when I got the vasectomy, but it was a decision I had pondered about for over a year. So even before that process, it was something that I had wanted.
Gotcha.
I don't think it's, you know, something you should do on a whim, like,
no.
like we mentioned.
I'm sure. And not a sign of the health of a relationship or anything, right?
No,
like, it's just independent of that.
Yeah.
But I guess my question was like more like, how do you bring up something like this in conversation? Because I could imagine, especially in a culture where it's not the norm for men to get it.
Yeah.
If I was to like tell a partner, like, hey, I think you should get snipped.
Right.
Like, how do you bring that up? That seems complicated.
And I think communication is really important in a relationship. And I think it's important at certain stages in life when you want to be with a partner long term, you know, to be on the same page of where your family planning is. If, you know, one partner, you know, really wants children and one partner doesn't, you know, a lot of cultures where they expect you to have children. In, you know, in Canada, like when I was dating, many of the women like were quite adamant that they never wanted children. And it's also, I think it's more accepted, possibly, not even just Canadian culture, but especially in Quebec culture where I'm from, where, you know, people, like, it's quite commonplace to say, like, well, I'm not, like, I like children, but I don't want any of my own.
Yeah.
And it was also, if I had met a woman and like a serious relationship leading to like marriage or a family, I would say like, oh, like, I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for, thank you. But you know,
yeah,
so it's important to have these talks and be open about it.
Yeah. That makes sense. Cool. I mean, thank you so much for being so honest and candid with us here today. That brings us to the rapid fire round.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. So, I'm going to ask you a question. You're going to give me a brief, quick answer.
Sure.
Whatever comes to mind. What's one thing you wish someone had told you before you got the vasectomy?
Before the vasectomy, I did my research.
So you knew everything.
There was no surprises.
I love it.
Okay. Before you get a vasectomy, you should just see how long you can go.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
In case like that's a bad
experiment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. What is some one thing you wish someone had told you before the reversal?
Because of the swelling, I did experience some pain. It was rectified with anti-inflammatory, so it's gone right now. But it's called epididymal hypertension, and guys will understand the discomfort because that's what blue balls is called. So it's the epididymis, the vast, and it's like.
So you had pain
pressure.
In your balls.
It was.
For how long?
And it wasn't. It's like, because there's like a nerve, it kind of travels up the inside of your abdomen.
Oh no.
And it would hurt for, let's say, half an hour to 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Maybe less, but in my mind that's how long, because it was very painful. And I like to consider myself a tough person, but this is like the type of pain where like you're sitting on the couch and you're breathing deeply and you're
Sounds like a period cramp.
Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna compete over which hurts more. I only know what I experienced, and it did not feel very good.
Absolutely. What was easier, the vasectomy or the reversal? We
Well,
talked about this.
The vasectomy was easier in terms of like the physical procedure and the cost.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Easier to the wallet, easier to the body.
All right. What's the weirdest thing someone said to you after they found out?
Well, like I said, that person who said if I feel like less of a man without the poison inside the snake, that was a weird thing.
Cool. And you are just as manly with or without poisonous snake. And then if you had a
well, the snake's poisonous again.
The snake's poisonous again.
But in terms of my manliness, nothing has changed. I'm still the same piece of shit.
That's terrible. If you had a nickname for your vas deferens, which is the tube that goes from the testes to the penis, what would you call your vas deferens now?
My vas deferens is the bullet train,
which has had its tracks rerouted and joined back together.
Yeah, joined back together.
Okay, cool. And what's one resource for sexual health information that you rely on?
I do like to look, let's say, at sites like Reddit for people's personal experiences, but keeping in mind that places like Reddit and Quora are full of strangers, often full of weird strangers who may give, unsolicited and inaccurate advice. So there's anecdotal and evidence. But it can be helpful. And for sexual advice, like stay away from Pornhub.
Yeah.
You know what? There are people that do sex education on Pornhub.
I believe it, as they should.
Yeah,
it's a great place.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that that's how they would reach some people who may not see that content.
Higher royalties than YouTube.
Yeah. Exactly. But anyway. I would still be more discerning when it comes to Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Well, thank you so much, Marlon.
My pleasure. For coming here, for being so candid, so open, and for talking about this topic, which I don't think I've knew so much about before this. And so I've learned so much, and hopefully you have too. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, do all the things, press all the buttons.
Share this with your grandma.
If you want to facilitate
and if grandma wants a more personal walkthrough of the whole process.
Okay, bye.
You can find me at
all right. Okay, thank you so much, Marlon. Are there risks associated with giving or receiving oral sex that people tend to underestimate?
Yes, for sure. So STIs and STDs are the biggest risk when it comes to oral health and sexual health.